you only have 5 days to experience Vancouver and Whistler, and you wonder how you can avoid parking chaos and dodge the crowds. This is exactly what I'm going to show you in this video, the smart way to do Whistler and Vancouver, the best timing strategy, and how you can dodge the crowds. And on day 2, I'll show you the free alternative to the paid icon. And if you are the type of traveler that wants to plan your own trip and you just don't want this cookie cutter tourism, then this video is perfectly fitted for you. This itinerary or mini itinerary is focused on summer first, but I'll give some hints and tips what you could do in spring or fall instead, and if some of these things would still work during this time. And when I'm saying part tested itinerary, that means I haven't personally tested all of the stops and locations on this trip. Some of them I have done personally, and I drove the Sea to Sky highway several times, so I have a good understanding of the places, and I spoke about them also in previous videos. I'm validating the itinerary like a digital scout. Drive times, seasonal operations, ticket policies, common failures, things other that you can avoid or use for yourself so you don't lose a day on these things. So I want to help you avoiding these things. So on day 1, we start in Vancouver, Stanley Park, and the first thing we're gonna need to do is we start early, meaning in the morning, and we start in Stanley Park. And you see on the side I have open the Mind Trip planner with the whole trip in it that you can download, and you see we start right where somewhere here. And what we plan to do is the seawall loop by bike, which is the smart move. And the simply timing tip here is early equals calm, because there's easy parking and you're not sharing the park with the crowds. And if you're traveling with kids, biking is the easiest way to do and experience the Stanley Park, but also see the skyline of the city. So low friction and a good win on day 1. The tip here is download an offline map in Google Maps, maybe enter a route, and usually downloads then on the app itself. And depending where you're going in the Stanley Park, you'll be safe to have prepared yourself with an offline map. The food tip here is, especially with kids, when you go or do the Stanley Park around here, grab yourself somewhere a breakfast on the go, that you have a picnic on the way, and then stop at one of the beaches at Stanley Park that offers you a great and gorgeous view. And I'll try to show you one of the beaches right over here that might be a possible idea, solution. And one of the beautiful spots I personally liked a lot is Surf Beach. And as you see on the pictures here, gorgeous side, gorgeous view of the city, and if you're in the morning, you have a amazing view with maybe a beautiful sunrise too. And then for the afternoon, we head over to Granville Island, which is over here. And you see that also on the itinerary itself. And usually parking is quite tedious at Granville Island. So before you even try to find a parking spot, head over with your car to the parking area, which is somewhere here. I guess you could see it better on Google Maps. Let me show you briefly. Usually there are greater parking opportunities right over here, meaning less crowds. You don't spend hours of trying to find a parking spot at Granville Island, because the more fun thing to do is to grab a ferry over to Granville Island at the Aquatic Center ferry dock and get over. It's about a 5-minute hop over to the island, and it's an adventure itself. It's called the Aqua Bus, and it runs frequently, and it's just an easier and simpler thing to do. And Granville Island on itself is kind of an adventure, as you have so many options to try food, bring things and eat, and there's even a kids adventure park somewhere on the island. So a great spot for the afternoon. And even grab yourself a few souvenirs like maple syrup or any typical Canadian stuff. And the evening we just do a simple solution. We go to Cole Harbour or visit Canada Place or see Gastown, find a restaurant somewhere in this area to cool down, because day one we don't want to overschedule, as the next day is already quite filled and has higher logistics. And with that we start with day number 2. And this is the one where I'll tell you about the paid icon versus the free alternative. So you get 2 options. And option A is the paid iconic classic option, which is the Capilano suspension bridge. And if you move over on the map, I'll show you Capilano suspension bridge is right over here in North Vancouver. And it's a great attraction. It's a little park, kind of made of a fairy tale, but it offers great things to do. It offers a suspension bridge, treetop cliff walk, and it has several sessions where you can attend some informations about the birds, about the trees, some about the nature in general. So it's very entertaining in a way, but in a good way, in a very interesting way. And it's actually very rewarding. The only drawdown is it's a bit on the expensive side. And the thing here is the smart move. If you want to go there in the morning. We always book the session or our trip in the morning, because we know when you're there during lunch break or in the afternoon, it gets crowded very easily and fast. And the option B, the free alternative, would be Lynn Canyon, which is over here. It, as you see here, if we go through, it also offers a suspension bridge in a very gorgeous forest at no ticket costs, and you can add a short loop or short hike to it. Maybe bring your own barbecue stuff. If there's no fireman, you can make a little fire with your meat and vegetables, of course. And there's also the option that you can swim in one of the pools, nature pools in there. One thing I need to add though, although it is the less crowded alternative, it doesn't mean it hasn't any people. It gets from time to time crowded as well, but it's still a beautiful spot and especially appealing if you think of it that you get all at 0 costs. One thing that I would advise you is to use all trails for the different hiking loops that you can do. Depending on your children's ages, you might be able to do more challenging versions or longer versions, or if you're just a couple, you can have also different possibilities to do different hikes in the forest. And then make an easy lunch rest or reset. And one option is to go to the Lonsdale Quay Market and have some lunch there at one of the restaurants, or maybe grab yourself something on the go and have lunch at the pier and the shipyards, and you get rewarded with a skyline of Vancouver. If you move over here to the map, you might see it in a bit better way. So there you go, the shipyards. And let's see until the pictures pop up. That's the view that you will be rewarded from. There's some winter activities, but that's actually what you get rewarded with. And in summer they even have water playgrounds out, so depending on your age of your children, that might be a great opportunity too. And then in the afternoon, the next adventure we're gonna take is hopping onto Grouse Mountain, grabbing a gondola up. And in summer it's definitely a place that it's built for families. It offers views, wildlife refuge, and you can choose your effort level. Maybe choose considering the Grouse grind, and you could also do the walk up to Grouse Mountain, which is I think 2.5 kilometers up, 800 meters in elevation gain. So it would be also an option if your group wants to have a workout, and if not, then the gondola is your move up. But just be aware that it isn't a cheap option, so you might to think about it. An alternative could be, instead of going up the Grouse Mountain, you could go to Capilano Lake for a visit, or move over to the Cypress Mountain, which I'll show you in a second here. I don't have it on the plan. Cypress Mountain, Cypress Hills in, no, that's far away. Cypress Mountain, there you go. So there you have an idea where Cypress Mountain is. It's the other home mountain of Vancouver. But the way up is a bit cheaper than Grouse Mountain, but still offers plenty of activities for you. And besides, if you do the way up to Grouse Mountain, you may be able to visit the two home grizzly bears that are in the refugee of Grouse Mountain that are very famous, and their names are Jim Grinder and Kula. And if you're talking about alternatives, you might think of doing Grouse Mountain in the morning and Capilano Suspension Bridge in the afternoon, if you think that would fit better, especially if you think of swimming in one of the nature pools. And then what you could do, depending on the season, as an additional option, is to visit the Richmond Night Market, which is open typically during spring to early fall, if I remember correctly, and it's in Richmond, somewhere down here. I haven't been there yet, but that's one of the things that are on our bucket list. It must be an amazing experience, especially if you are a foodie. But anyway, check if you want to do it beforehand, if it's open and if it fits your schedule. Otherwise, have a calm evening in the city. And on day 3, we're gonna drive on the famous Sea to Sky Highway. And this is actually the drive that most people do the wrong way around. And with that, I mean, they just drive through to Whistler straight away, but it has so much more to offer. This drive is over 120 kilometers long, around 2 hours, but without the stops. And you should plan most of the day, because your stops are the trip. So actually the trip makes the drive an attraction itself. And I'll show you exactly why that is the case. So one of the stops that you could plan in is Porter Cove, which, come on, it's a bit lower today. So it's up here. If you zoom out a bit, so it's up here. That's the first spot, and actually is a very recommendable place to stop. If you drive from Vancouver, you might even think of grabbing your breakfast again on the go and make a stop at the Porter Cove Provincial Park. That is next to the sea, and the dock offers amazing views. As you see here on the pictures, you can go through them by yourself when you click on the link below and see for yourself. And that is actually a thing that doesn't take too long. It's a short, easy, low effort, big reward thing. The next point on the list is the Britannia Mine Museum, and I'll show that in a second on Google Maps, as it isn't available here. Give me a second. Britannia Mine. And that's actually the best stops if you travel with kids, but also for the older kids, it's a great thing, because this is one of the highest fun per minute stops, not only for families, because it offers underground trains, gold panning, and big exhibits. And if you click on the pictures here, I bet not many of you have experienced a mine visit like this yet in their life. So another easy thing to do, and a lot of fun as well. And then for lunch we stop in Squamish, that is right over here, which is a little quaint town. It also has a newly opened park. If you scroll closer here, it's somewhere around here. Has a newly opened park, offers it's another place that offers gorgeous views, and it has many restaurants that you need to try. It is a very down-to-earth place, famous for its outdoor shops and equipment stores. And from there, it's an easy way to visit the Shannon Falls Provincial Park when you're there, which is also a great option if you don't want to do the Sea to Sky gondola, which is a rather expensive experience. a great one though. It offers plenty of views, a suspension bridge. It is a great thing to do, but if you're on a budget, maybe not the best thing. Instead, like mentioned, go to the Shannon Falls and look for the Shannon Falls pool trail, which would be another option for your kids to swim in one of the nature pools. But if you're, especially if you talk about the Seas to Sky gondola, and if you plan to do the Banff gondola and the Banff to Whistler gondola, then I would skip it, to be honest, just from a budget point perspective. Another great stop would be Brandywine Falls, that is near Whistler, which offers a short walk to a big waterfall that goes down 70 meters and is a beautiful spot too. And on the list, I have a few other stops in here that you could use for yourself. And then for the night, we will arrive in Whistler. We're gonna pick the right base. If you want to know more about the right base, just let me know in the comments. I find you something that fits your needs. But coming back to Whistler, the village itself is very quaint and great for walking and to explore. But if you want to have quieter evenings, then you might want to consider Creekside Village instead of Whistler Village, as it has also a bit less budget heavy options if you want to dine out instead of cooking. Before we go on, just a quick pause. If you already like this itinerary, then check the description below, grab it and adjust it for yourself. And if you want to need to know more or want to get more itineraries, check my profile on Mindtrip, which has a ton of guides and itineraries that will help you planning your next holidays much easier. So it's actually a whole library of Western Canada itineraries with the goal in mind to dodge the crowds and looking for the best timing strategy to also not only see the iconic places but also hidden gems. And if you would like to know more or want to have a tailored solution, book a call with me, or leave me a comment with Van plus Whiz, Vancouver and Whistler. Tell me your travel style, family, couple or solo, and I'll give you some ideas or swaps for you. Now, on day 4, we check out the Peak to Peak gondola, and it's about 11 minutes ride spanning 4.4 kilometers between Whistler and Blackcomb. At its highest point, it's about 460 meters above the valley floor, one of the highest lifts of its kind. And some cabins have even glass floors, so great for kids who love the wow factor. So the smart move here is to arrive at the opening to avoid the heaviest lines and get the best visibility, so you have it more to yourself. Alternatively, check for cheaper alternatives. For example, rent bikes or even mountain bikes rentals, where you can go down the mountain with your mountain bike, or go kayaking on one of the lakes, or visit the Brandywine Provincial Park instead. For lunch, don't overcomplicate it. Either eat on one of the mountain tops, or draw back down to one of the lakes, or maybe quick something in the village itself for a quick stop. But I would advise either on the mountain top with a picnic, or go to one of the lakes in Whistler itself, as we going to see here. One of the lakes, Alta Lake or Green Lake, for example. And then the afternoon, I would recommend to choose one big paid activity and then balance it with a free win. And in Whistler, you have a ton of things to do. You can go ziplining, book an ATV tour or horseback ride, and then maybe add something that is free of charge, like a swim in one of the lakes, Alta Lake or Green Lake, or go kayaking as mentioned beforehand. And other great options with a high payoff are Lost Lake, as you see here, or check the train wreck trail, where you find some old train wrecks in the forest, which is a famous but not so crowded attraction in the area. And definitely something that the kids will remember, also the older ones. And for the evening, check out the Valle Lumina evening walk. It's a 1.5 kilometer multimedia night walk and is typically offered in May to October. Check beforehand, before you want to do it, just to be sure for the details, and then head back home to your base. And that brings us to day number 5, which is a Whistler wrap and the return to Vancouver. Morning, choose a rather calmer option, take your time having breakfast, check out, for example, the O'Dane Art Museum if you're into art, or visit the Squamish-Lillwald Cultural Center, which offers a ton of easy way of learning about the Indian culture of the native Canadians. And from my point of view, what I've seen so far, just on pictures, it looks very amazing and cool experience for kids, families, couples, whoever your gang is you're traveling with. So definitely something you should check out. And then it's already time to head back to Vancouver. And depending how you came, you could choose to go back the fancy way. And with that I mean book a flight from Vancouver, from Whistler I mean, with Harbour Air, and fly back to Vancouver with the seaplane. Just be sure if the line is open, meaning it is seasonal route from Vancouver to Whistler and back. And if I'm not mistaken, it runs until mid-September, so you might want to check it out, but it's definitely not the cheapest option to get back. So, and if we talk about the smart planning stacks, first we talk about transport options that you could choose to go or to do this road trip. One option is the easiest one, most obvious, car rental. It's probably the easiest one to do with children, as you can book them directly from the airport. Also the only one where you are able to do all the stops for yourself. Then the second option is a budget shuttle. It is a reliable option if you don't want to do the drive yourself, and if you think of budget in general and want to save some money, maybe for your camper holidays afterwards. And then there are also other carriers which offer shuttle services to Whistler itself. Then the essential tools I'd recommend to use are Mindtrip for trip planning, Wanderlog, also trip planning, but not like Mindtrip. Mindtrip is an AI trip planner. Wanderlog is the classic trip planner with a bundle of additional options. And then of course Google Maps, especially if you need offline maps. Then for the cities, I advise to use Waze for traffic updates. Then AllTrails for checking out the hiking routes. Maybe OpenTable to check and reserve your spots in the restaurants. And always check the weather for your places that you want to see. If it makes sense to go up a mountain when it rains, probably not, but check that beforehand to make sure that your trip won't be a miss but a win. And then some adoptions for shoulder seasons like spring or fall. Some of the lifts and attractions have maintenance closures in spring and fall. So always check official operating hours before you book or lock in your plan. Most of the things you could do still in the shoulder season, but maybe some gondolas won't be working. Then the Valea Lumina is generally open from May to October. So if you arrive beforehand or afterwards, it might not be available. So that's the 5-day smart plan. 2 cities, 1 sea to sky highway, and 2 Whistler days built around timing, smart swaps, and avoiding the trap of trying to do everything. And you could find the whole plan below in the descriptions. You can grab this plan, adjust it for yourself and your needs, extend it, adjust it, do other stops in there, whatever fits you best. And if you need more ideas about the attractions or look for specific links that I haven't mentioned or isn't in there, let me know, I'll send them over to you. Or you can book also a 50-minute call with me and then we can go through this in person. And now if you're deciding on some extra days in BC, maybe Alberta, you're deciding how and where to spend these days, then check the video on the screen, which is about Banff and Jasper, No Waste Blueprint. And the other one is about the best beaches on Vancouver Island.